Now, if you've been following along with the two ranchers from Wisconsin who are missing down here in Missouri over a cattle deal that cropped up last month, well, I got some new information for you. Just received. Now, it's been quiet for almost a week. Haven't heard anything, no new updates until tonight. August 7th, 2019. So this here is the latest of what we found out, what's being shared on the news media of these two brothers in Wisconsin who came down here to Missouri and ended up missing. We have a suspect in custody up in northern Missouri. And this is the latest on the updates. So here's a look at the news release as it stands. Real quick, there's been another update in which another man had some cattle dealings with this suspect, which you see here, cash for cows. He'll get into this in the story, watch it, and hopefully shed some light on it. Now let's get on with the story.
Kansas and Missouri are home to millions of cattle, bought, raised, and sold by men like David Foster.
Born and raised on a dairy farm in southeast Kansas, fourth generation.
Foster shared his story with KCTV5's Betsy Webster and me. He farms in Bourbon County, Kansas. In addition to the dairy, he owns Cash Cow Enterprises, a company that sells metal buildings like this one. It was through this business he met a cattleman from northwest Missouri, Joey Nelson.
I thought that we were friends.
Last spring, Nelson offered to tear down a building himself and reassemble it on his own farm. Here's the receipt.
He was basically asking if he could be the subcontractor. He wanted to trade some of that labor for taking some of the materials home to use on his farm.
For a while, everything was going well. The two started talking on a regular basis.
He understood my work ethic. He could relate to the hours and the strain, all that goes into farming.
Eventually, Nelson convinced Foster to buy these refrigerated trailers so he could lease them. Here's the receipt from that agreement.
So I was like, well, it's a good deal. It serves him, it serves me.
Then in the fall, the two men partnered on some cattle. First a herd of 31, then 100 more from Nick and Justin Diemel's livestock company in Wisconsin.
Our arrangement was that I was going to purchase the calves, he was going to feed and raise them, and then when they got to weaning weight, we were going to sell them and split the profit.
But things started to go sour. Foster says Nelson stopped making payments on the trailers and the shed.
You feel like you got stabbed in the back.
Their cattle deal wasn't going well either.
It came time for them to be due, to be weaned and then sold. And he was coming up with all these excuses and stories as to, well, why he hadn't sold them yet.
It got so bad, Foster started secretly recording his conversations with Nelson.
We're gonna go broke. We're gonna go broke if we do not get a break here.
When he asked for money, Nelson told him he didn't have it.
If I had the money, I'd pay you. If not, I don't want to. I can't.
The audio is difficult to understand in places, but Nelson seems defensive. He says he's caught between people who aren't paying him and people he owes money to.
And I got guys in Wisconsin that, you know what, I'm trying to be nice because I know they are going to lose everything they own.
He also references one of the Diemel brothers.
I told Justin, I said, Justin, I know we owe you a load of money.
He tells Foster that he's ready to hurt himself or someone else.
Short of pulling a gun on somebody and hoping I don't go to jail myself.
I was basically ready to go visit and tell him face to face, or, you know, we needed to count cattle.
Instead, Joey Nelson came to him without warning.
They ended up being dumped off on the property at Foster Dairy.
Not all of them. Only about 35 of the 131. And as these pictures show, they looked malnourished.
Those calves that we got, it just about made us sick to our stomach when they showed up.
Underweight, missing patches of hair, A USDA inspector later noted multiple emaciated and thin calves. Foster still doesn't know for sure what happened to his other 95 cattle, though he suspects they died in Nelson's care.
That's not a herdsman. That's not a feedlot owner. That's not a farmer. That's not normal.
The two cattlemen had stopped speaking to each other, but Foster did start doing his own research. He found out about Nelson's former conviction for cattle fraud. Recently, he saw this interview.
That I broke a rule in a loan. Didn't commit a crime. I didn't, go out and rob a bank.
He also reached out to Joey's other business partners, like the Diemels.
Everybody had a very similar story.
He found out Joey had a separate cattle deal with the brothers, though he doesn't know the details.
Knew that Nick had every reason to be angry with Joey.
Foster never did drive to Joey's farm, but in July, Nick and Justin Diemel did.
It's pretty simple. It could have been me, because I could have been in that position.
It's emotional for Foster. He feels duped and cheated by someone he once called a friend.
And Nick has 4 kids. I have 4 kids.
He says he shared his story with police too. They're still investigating what happened on Nelson's farm before the Diemels disappeared. Right now he's been charged with vehicle tampering, but not murder.
Just a fluke that they suffered this.
Right now, that's all I got for you. As far as updates, the more I get, the more I'll post. Don't know anything more than that right now, and still haven't found the bodies, supposed bodies, of the 2 missing Wisconsin ranchers that are missing down here in Missouri. Don't know anything more than that right now. But I will say this is one of the strangest, bizarrest mysteries that I've seen in a long time. It's been a while since I've seen anything this mysterious. It ranks right up there with pretty good. If it's a murder mystery, it's a mystery. Because I find it hard to believe that this young kid, this young rancher in northern Missouri, took the time to dispose of those 2 brothers in the amount of time that he had to do it. Had to have been pretty quick, within a few hours. Now maybe the law enforcement officials aren't releasing and disclosing everything. Maybe they've already found fragments or a cell phone or a wallet or something. But so far, nobody's talking. So we don't know much as to any wallets or cell phones or bone fragments. It's taken a strange turn of events. The more I know, the more I'll post on this mystery of the 2 missing Wisconsin cattle ranchers. Till then, stay tuned.